Hey everybody, welcome back to the Excuse Podcast. It's your host, Kevin. We are in full Aries season as we enter into the first week of April. I hope you all had a great Easter and a great April Fool's Day. And I have an awesome guest returning to the show today. I have L.O.G Rez from our December episode of the Excuse Podcast, and we are going to pick up from where we left off. But first, go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you're streaming from, and rate the show 5 stars. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, or even if you have suggestions or anything like that for the show, you can send those on over to excusedpodcast@gmail.com. That's EXCUSED podcast@gmail.com, and let me know what's on your brain. All right, without further ado, let's get into the episode.
Excuse my beauty.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Excuse Podcast. It's your host Kevin, and today we have L.O.G Rez back on the podcast. And we had L.O.G Rez back in December of last year, and I'm super happy to have him back. And I think we've got some catching up to do. So welcome back, Lou.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for having me again. And I was here back in December, and I just here with a whole lot more updates. We've been working, we've been grinding. The whole team has been focused. So it's been a good start to the first quarter of the year. We have a lot of announcements.
Awesome. Well, welcome back. Today we've got some beautiful weather, and then we've got a Facebook Live going on, and I'm trying to incorporate some of the viewers and those who listen to the podcast and kind of add another avenue to the show. And just kind of go that route. So if you're online, welcome. So what's changed? And let's get into what's going on with L.O.G Rez as far as the last time we were sitting here doing an interview.
Yeah, so the last time that I was here, we were talking about, I think I was preparing for exam number 3 and the final exam for Calculus 2. So I finally got past Calculus 2, bro. I passed it, and I finished it with an A.
What? Congratulations.
Yeah,
that's
you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I remember that because that's the week we were trying to schedule the podcast, but you had to study.
Yeah.
So it was worth it.
Yeah, it was. So I finally got past that 4 times the charm. So that I was really happy about that. Now I'm in the Calculus 3 and still tutoring math, still assisting the college students into getting to that next level of understanding with the numbers.
So with calculus, do you find that to be the hardest math subject out there, or what do you think?
No, I wouldn't say it's the hardest subject out there, but it is probably like the very top of the basics of mathematics. So people who go up to Calculus 3, they kind of have that understanding of applying it to physics or applied mathematics. So you can find volumes of different shapes and whatnot. And all it is just a third dimension. You're adding a third dimension. So lower level math from, elementary math all the way up to just the basic Calculus 2. It's just 2-dimensional, it's just X and the Y axis. But when you go to Calculus 3, it's more of third dimension. So there's a Z axis. There's a lot of vectors and yeah.
Gotcha. I know it's kind of crazy because I'm into like a lot of paranormal shows, and they're always talking about like quantum mechanics and everything that's going on, which is like physics, but I don't think physics is under calculus, right? That's a separate subject.
So there's this saying in the academic field, it's that mathematics is the language of physics. So it's just kind of, mathematics is kind of used to interpret physics, but it's kind of like its own thing as well. So physics is kind of like the mashing of just a lot of theories and a lot of built upon kind of like hypotheses and like the history, kind of like just planets, just like people looking up into the stars and like, hey, how does this work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. I know I'll get pulled into those little reels on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram where it talks about like planetary things and like theories and everything. Yeah. And I'm just like,
like right now I'm in like chapter 15 of Calculus 3 right now. And what we're going over is like moment of inertia, or we're going over, and that stuff is physics. You know what I mean? So it gets to a point where like you can't avoid it anymore. The mathematics that you do is applied, which means you apply it to life, and life works in physics. Physics are basically the laws of the universe.
Dang, when do you project that you'll be finishing up that class?
I should be finishing this up a week before the show. Probably like, around April 10th, maybe somewhere around that week. So It's coming up real soon. Yeah. So I'm excited. Hopefully I can get past it. And
What?
if I don't, I'll just take it again. So
You'll get past it. I know you will, because you're pretty good with number crunching and you're persistent and you want to keep the consistency. So I think I have a good feeling that you'll pass it. But you said leading up to the show. Yeah. So what's going on? If you want to share what's going on with the show you're mentioning.
Yeah, so we were sitting back one day and I was trying to figure out how I was going to perform during Gatherings of Nations, because that's something that I enjoy doing and that's something that I want to do to get my name out there as L.O.G Rez to a lot of Native audiences. So the thinking that I have, it's never really just me. It's always myself looking for an opportunity to bring my natives along with me. So I throw shows back home on the Rez. I had the Rez Ball Showcase to do things for the community. I try to bring people together. And with that networking that I've done in the past 3-4 years or so, like I've come across individuals that entertain, individuals that perform as in music, or they're comedians, or their country bands. So these are the people that I've reached out to in the past to do shows. We already have this, communication, and I'm very close with also a lot of people like Jermunson Yazi, Jerickson Hustine, Richie Led Regal, a lot of entrepreneur natives. And one day I was sitting back and I said, we got to do something for our artists. Because a lot of the time, there's a lot of artists that get counted out during the Gatherings of Nations, which happens to be the biggest stage of the year for exposure for a Native artist. So I asked myself, like, what's the demand? How can I meet the needs of these artists? Because obviously we have stage 49, and there's maybe like a couple of other shows happening too that weekend. But those shows, they can only take so many people, and that's understandable. So a way to accommodate some of the artists is I wanted to make another avenue, another place that people could hang out in case if there's no room at these other spots that are pretty popular. Or I want to give artists an equal opportunity in order to show their talent to the natives from all across Turtle Island. And so this idea was kind of birthed. So me and the homies, we kind of talked about it. We said, how are we going to do it? So I went and asked how much was for the venue. I communicated with the venue. We locked in. Put down the money for it. I started talking to my team of these people that I've already done business with. Shout out Sacred Lineage, aka Dean Nathaniel on Facebook and Instagram as well. He's the one that made this flyer. So if you look at this flyer, it shows that the host is me, L.O.G Rez, Richie Led Regal, and these are just some of the artists that we have right now. And you can look up a full version of this flyer on my social media at Luke Queso, LOUQUESO. And on Instagram, you can check me out at queso.lu, QUESO.LOU. And but yeah, I was sitting back and I was wondering, what are we going to name the show and things like that. And the whole idea behind it is we're trying to connect all of the artists to the city. We're trying to connect the artists to, the Southwest. Whoever isn't from this area and they're coming in from, Washington, South Dakota, we're able to give them that stage to be connected into the Southwest. So we're the Southwest Connect. And that's kind of how we're promoting our show. We're not asking of anything from the artists that are coming out to perform. We are just asking that you push the flyer, that you tell your fan base to come out and to, just hang out, just have a great time. We'll have some merchandise. A lot of these artists have been performing for quite some time. They do a lot of community services within their community. During the summertime, they're always popping. And so let me just run through the list right now. So we have a artist from out of state. His name is Big Win. He's gonna be coming down to hang out. And we have the Unc Bravo Nez out from Farmington. Shout out Bravo Nez. He's always doing shows at the Blue Lyricist Lounge. Also my cousin Zag. He's a really good artist, up and coming out of G-Town. The homie Chaos, Chaos coming all the way from AZ to be here. And so is Cheyenne Taylor. So a lot of these artists, they have stuff on their social media, so go look them up. We got Kid Bliss, Also coming out, I believe homie is from Chin Lee, and they're always doing their thing every summer for Chin Lee. So shout out to them. He's coming out, Kid Bliss. And then we also got Lil Mizo and Lil JJ pulling up in the mix. Everybody from G-Town all across the Rez, they know who they are. So come out. If you want to see Lil Mizo and Lil JJ, they always put on the show. We got Young JT, homies pulling up from AZ as well. So we got different states locked in, everybody. It's not just New Mexico. It's not just Navajos. It's different tribes. It's different states all the way across the board. We have Shade Anderson, a.k.a. the Cringe of the Century. He's from G-Town as well. Or no, he's from Mariano Lake, excuse me. And we have RK Warriors. We have MPD. We have Richie Ledrigo, which is also the co-host. We got SK, also known as SK $sign on social media. Check him out. Him and Sov CR will be over there. So both of these gentlemen are affiliated with the New Mexico Hip Hop Awards, and they put on a terrific show every year for those Hip Hop Awards. So it's a big blessing that they wanted to be a part of the show, and so we invited them out to do their thing and see what native rap is like with everybody pulling up. And we have a native metal band as well. Sacred Blood is pulling up. They're gonna be performing. They'll probably be opening up the night for us. And we just might toss on a country western band. That's just some things that we are looking into, because these sort of cultures, hip hop, metal, and country, those are the major three entertaining music on the reservation. So I'm just giving back to the culture. I didn't invent any of this stuff. We all didn't invent any of this stuff. This is a legit culture. This is something that we are contributing to, because this is how we somehow grew into be the artists that we became, and that makes us special in ourselves. So Richie Ledrigo and myself, L.O.G Rez, are giving all of these artists a chance to show their talent. And we have two more artists as well, and we have C Dougie. C Dougie is Pueblo, as well as MC Slater too. He's they're all they're Pueblo as well, so they're coming out. So shout out to my Pueblo brothers and sisters. We got a couple of your artists in the house, and I hope you guys come out and support those artists, because I really believe in them and they got some good work. Our sponsors are coming from Indigenous Warrior Enterprise, and that one is led by Richie Ledrigo, which is the co-host, as well as 491 Entertainment, which is headed by myself, L.O.G Rez. And the DJ on the ones and twos will be DJ Homie, coming out from Farmington. And yeah, so we are blessed to be in this position that we are to be at, and to be pushing the event that we are, with the purpose of putting all of these artists on. And once again, shout out to Sacred Lineage, aka Dean Nathaniel on social media. He's the one that came up with this flyer. And once again, if you want to look at the digital version of this flyer, look me up on social media and you'll find it. On Facebook, it's Luqueso, Louqueso, and on Instagram, it's queso.lu, queso.lou.
Nice. That's awesome. Okay, so you kind of already covered what I was going to ask when going over the poster. So you have somebody in the genre of a metal band, and then everyone else is hip hop artists, but you might include country western. Is that right?
Yeah. So that's another thing that's in the mix right now.
Okay, gotcha. Is there any other artists? Most of these artists are hip hop, right?
Yeah, so we actually have some more artists that submitted after this flyer dropped, and we're probably gonna have like a second round of like an update of this flyer with more artists on it. But yeah, so this isn't all of them, and like I said, we're gonna try to incorporate like a country one too. But regardlessly, all of the artists, they are not paying for performances.
Right on. Okay, so with all of these artists that are coming on, what venue are you gonna be at?
So I wanted to treat the native artists in our communities. So I wanted to figure out what it would be like to host it at a place that offered all of the amenities that you might need in order to host a show. So they got their own professional sound system, they got their sound engineer, they got their security, and they have their light show, their light technician, things like that. So it's a professional, legit venue that a lot of artists that are already well off, they stop there on their way through Albuquerque. So they've offered services to a lot of artists that are not even in the Southwest. They're big name mainstream artists. So that's what really grabbed my attention in the past, because I've known about the spot. It's called the Jam Spot. It is an all-age venue, which I respect too, because I want to accommodate to the younger kids that enjoy hip hop as well. I don't want to count them out. Some of these places, they're 21 and over, so it excludes a big community of hip hop enthusiasts, and that's the reason why I wanted to do an all-age venue. So it's called the Jam Spot. It is located at 415 Central Albuquerque, New Mexico. 415 Central Avenue, I believe. Yeah, 415 Central Avenue, Albuquerque, New Mexico. And it is in downtown Albuquerque, so it is right in the mix. It's right across from a lot of other popular places that, host shows and whatnot. So Gatherings of Nations weekend is gonna be pretty lit, bro.
Awesome. Okay, so Gathering of Nations weekend. So you're gonna have all these artists. Are they performing like what days and what times?
So we have the place booked from 5:30 to midnight. So that's a really big spread of a window. So that's something that we are going to capitalize on. And so start at 5:30 and we'll be open until basically midnight. And I don't know what else.
Is that going to be a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday? So all 3 days from 5:30 to 12?
No, it's going to be just on Friday. Yeah, the 26th. Yeah, just on Friday the 26th.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
But there's a lot of other events happening too, on the different days. Like I believe starting on Thursday, there's like events happening here in the city.
Okay, gotcha. That's awesome. Well, that's a really, really humble mission to keep the fee free for artists who may not have their opportunity to do that, especially on a stage with like all the amenities that you're helping provide.
Exactly.
Wherever they're from, whether or not it's in the reservation or the small community, they can kind of pursue their dreams and get a taste of what it's like, if they haven't already, to be on a stage like that during a busy time. And then they can ask their families and their friends to come and attend too, if they're already in town. So I'm sure that it'll draw a really, really good crowd. For these people who are releasing the flyer, have you been to any of their performances? Or?
Yeah, so like a lot of these people I know personally, like the homie Bravo Nez. I've had him at the Rez Ball Showcase, and we've been running into each other at shows. He had me at his show for a grand opening, and so I've known him for a while now, at least maybe 4 years since I started the SoundCloud stuff and I started sharing this stuff around. So I'm fairly new to the game, but a lot of these people that have been on the list, they've been on it longer than me, and some of them been up and coming the same time I started. So these are the ones that I really show respect to. And Zag is my cousin, and I've been watching him do his thing since he was a youngin'. And so that's just kind of who he is. Chaos, he produced a couple of my tracks. Cheyenne Taylor, I've never worked with him, but I ran across him at some shows. Kid Bliss, I've never ran across him yet, but like I said, he's been doing his thing in Chinle, and he has like music videos and all of that out. So everybody loves him over there. Lil Mizo, of course, is well known in Gallup. My cousins, they always listen to his stuff and all of that. So a lot of these people, they all have their own following that they're coming. And these people, they never have their, well, I don't want to say that they never have their shot, but I just, like during gatherings, you know what I mean? I don't see their name on like places that they should be at. And that was kind of like another motivation, because I was like, man, like we're all in this together, because like there are places that they should be at, their name's not on there. Like I feel like I'm in the same boat, and I said, let me try to see if I could, get us all on there eventually. But it's not only just the homies though. Like I said, I'm literally opening it up to anybody that's submitting. I just got a couple submissions before we started this interview, and I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I'm not charging nothing. And all of these artists, they're asking, how much is it? How much is it? And they're freaking out, because I'm like, I'm not charging a thing, bro. The only thing that we ask of you is that you spread good love and good energy to our name. with L.O.G Rez, 491 Entertainment, Richie Led Regal, and Indigenous Warrior Enterprise, is that every event that you go to, that you remember who we are and what we did for the hip hop culture, so that way people know what we are about, and we'll continue to grow in that way. So that's all that I asked, and to push the event. So.
That's a pretty special thing. I think this is probably bigger than most people realize, because you don't really get opportunities like this as far as like a free showcase. Do you have like a certain amount of time each artist is given to perform?
Yeah, so obviously for the bands, I'm still, overall for the evening, I'm still sorting it out as I add people onto the list and, figure that out. So depending on how many performers we have, depending on the experience, because some artists I have are more experienced than others. Some of them, I'm giving them that one shot that they wanted, to feel what it's like to be in front of a stage. So maybe they won't even need to do 2 songs. Maybe they can just do one, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So just as long as they get the feeling and whatnot, and, just so that they know that somebody believes in them,
Right on. So if somebody's listening and they want to do, they're interested in maybe hitting you up for a spot, what vetting process or what kind of things do you usually think about before you say yes or you accept them? What should they know? Obviously,
I always check the hustle. I always make sure that the attention is there. Like whatever their music is, they're constantly on their grind. They're constantly focused. They're always, this is what they are. There's some people out there that do this for one summer and they're cool. They're like, I don't want to do this anymore. I think that was just a phase. And then there's artists like us where we make a lifestyle out of it, where every single day is a piece that we write into our work. And so I look at that. I look at that drive. I look at the desire and see if this is somebody that matches the hustle of us. Because that's all that we are. All of these artists on here, the ones that I know personally, I know their hustle. The ones that I don't know, I did my research. I listen to their music, and I'm saying, they deserve a shot. So that's kind of all that I look at the moment. I try to obviously make sure that they have some sort of direction, that they're, not just getting into it with everybody, or, it's like, you know what I mean? Like we're trying to have a good time, and it's going to be a lot of kids there too. So I'm also taking into consideration, but I'm also considering the fact that there's freedom of speech, that artists are allowed to express themselves freely. And yeah, this is just a chance for them to really bring out their own fans. You know what I mean? Bring out their own fans and they gain some new ones. So
nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about like merch? Would any of them be bringing merch?
Yeah, so I told them, they're all able to sell their own merchandise if they want. And on top of that, when it comes to vendors, we're talking about it now, about having vendors there at the moment, because a lot of people have been hitting me up to try to be a vendor. And once again, like they're trying to, they're trying to ask how much it is too. And I'm like, is this the first time anybody's heard about this thing? Like I tell them how much it is to perform or vend. Everybody thinks I'm crazy, everybody's tripping out. They're like, this is too good to be true. And I'm like, nah, that's what we're doing it for. Just a little bit of recognition and respect goes a long way.
Yeah. No kidding. And I think that's like one of the best things about it is that you're not charging people, because people want to be a part of something special, but there's always a price.
Yeah, and I was kind of taught that if you really want to make moves and if you really want to make things happen, like sometimes you gotta spend money to make money, and sometimes you gotta put your money where your mouth is in order for people to actually see what the bigger picture is.
Right. I totally agree. It's kind of like an investment. So that kind of brings me to the next thing. Would this be like an annual thing, or would you see this be something you could do next year? Or
like the crazy,
is that too soon?
The crazy thing about this event is like I was sort of thinking about this being a possibility like as of November. So this has been like a very small window of it happening. And normally the way that I approach obstacles, I'm like, if it depends on how easy I get through the process, how well planned it comes together. If it was meant to be, it's meant to be. So I told myself since November, and then sure enough, like somehow, some way we ended up getting the venue at the time that we did, because there was like the next day, I kid you not, there was at least 2 or 3 other people that were requesting for that same day.
Wow.
So like I was like, oh, okay, well that's the first obstacle we crossed. We got it. I guess we're meant to have it. And then I said, okay, so we'll see if we have the money by the time that we need it. sure enough, on the day that we needed it, I had the money, and then on top of that, we didn't have this this legit flyer that we needed. We needed it by that day, and the homie Sacred Lineage pulled through, and he did all of this, and he took on the artist. He's been doing so much work for us, and shout out Sacred Lineage.
He got that done in the same day.
In the same day, I literally woke up that day like at 4 because I couldn't sleep. I got off work at 3, and I was trying to go to bed, and it crossed my mind. I was like, man, we need that, and I messaged him, and sure enough, he messaged back. I said, man, you still up? And yeah, so it all worked out. That's what I mean. Like little things like that. Like it could have always been hard on the flyer aspect, but literally he had it to me like by noon. And I was sending it, and, I had the money in. Everything was all squared away, and we got confirmation. We got the venue. I said, oh, wow, it's meant to be. Even when it came down to plotting with all of these artists, like, I told myself, I don't know if anybody's going to pull up. I don't know if anybody's going to submit. So I put it out there, and sure enough, they all rolled in. It's kind of like Wayne's World 2. Have you seen that movie? Remember, he's like, if you book him, they'll come. It was kind of like that sort of moment, So
that's so funny, that Wayne's World reference. The last podcast episode I did a Wayne's World reference too.
Yeah. So in a way, it kind of just, I guess it's meant to be, So in that, speaking on that, depending on how well it does this year, we might just make it annual, and we might just keep it the same mission, because there's all of these other shows, and we respect all of the other, like the homie Defy. He's doing his show. He does it every year. I think he's on his 12th annual right now, and he does a lot for the MC community and battle rap and all of that. He has cash prizes over there, but we're kind of in two different lanes. I kind of really put on for native music, and that's just kind of like I don't want to see it as competitive. I don't want to see it as like taking customers or this and that. I just want to see it as like me opening another lane for new artists, because that's what 491 Entertainment is about.
Right. That's awesome. I think that's great idea, and I commend you for it. So I know you said you wanted to keep it free, but I know some of the costs kind of can get up there with like hosting something like this.
Yeah.
But even if it wasn't just Gatherings of Nations, maybe doing like making, and this is just my wild thinking, making it a thing to do it maybe during the summer and then kind of returning, or maybe the fall, like outside of like gatherings, and kind of making it your own thing. Maybe that would be really cool too.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah, shout out to the shout out to the homie Defy, man. Like he was the one that kind of really showed me at a young age that it's possible to kind of be locked in with everybody, to stay out of beefs and to just really put on for the culture. Because he's doing things like going out to Paris, spreading the word about hip hop and who he is and coming from the Navajo Nation. Like that was pretty cool. So like now I threw my first event back home on the Rez, Rez Ball Showcase. That was my first experience with this, like networking with all of these artists, telling them to come out, planning, organizing all this. Like it was hectic, but at the end of the day, when it was all done, like I loved it, because a lot of the people that were there, like the ones that performed and the ones that watched performances, they left with an experience. And that's something that they can build upon. Like they're gonna take that with them wherever they go. And like you're talking about having one like during the spring, fall, and summer and things like that. Like that's pretty cool, because like every day, every week, and every year, there's always a new artist. Like right now, as we're speaking, there's an artist that hasn't even dropped anything yet, but they're listening to me. They're listening to Young JT. They're listening to Lil Mizo. They're listening to a lot of native artists, and they're like, you know what, I could do that. So it's a lot of just comparing yourself and having a role model that kind of builds upon. So I do want to be there for the new up and coming artists, especially when I'm done with the game, because I can't be in this game till I'm 50. You know what I mean? Like eventually I'm gonna have to cross over and be a businessman. So that's kind of, I'm trying to look at the wants and the needs, and also provide opportunities for the youngins.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's what will help inspire younger people too, to not really be afraid and kind of take their dream and move it into reality, especially with opportunities like this. So
exactly,
I think it's important.
Yeah, because let me tell you this right now. I'm turning 28 on Saturday.
Oh,
yeah.
What?
And like I'm I really put in a lot of work up to this point. And I'm proud to say that I'm my own business owner right now. Like I just got my LLC for L.O.G Rez, so I own that name now. That's mine. And that's a business in itself. I do school presentations, basketball clinics. I make music. I do this and that, and I own 491 Entertainment. So that I'm in every position that I wanted to be 10 years ago. You know, that cliche when you're in high school, you're 18, about to leave, and you're like, where you want to be in 10 years? You know, surprisingly, everything played out the way that I want to play out. You know, I got me a good girl back at home. She cooks every night. She makes hot bread. You know, like I got me a dog that's loyal to me. Like I walk him every day. And I got me 2 good jobs, not one. I got me 2 good jobs that I love doing. You know, it's just a part of me. So I'm in every position that I want to be at the moment. And then I'm also pursuing more. Like I want to be a coach. I want to spread the love about basketball and health and wellness. And so that took a lot to be here in this position. And so, like, thinking back, there was a lot of times when I could have been, you know, pushed along the way faster if I was given opportunities, but I wasn't. And so, like, in this giving back to, like, the community with this Southwest Connect, I'm trying to make it a little bit easier to be discovered for these Native artists, to show their passion for music and to try to, you know, let it all out there, to give them a shot. Even if it's something that they're not going to do all their life, just to have that experience so they can tell their cousins about it. So, you know, their community that they come from, be like, hey, man, that kid over there, I didn't believe him, but he was over there at that show, you know, like that's what I really want. And yeah, that's the inspiration behind it.
Nice. And the thing too is like nowadays, especially in today's world, you don't have to just stick to one thing and then let that make who you are as your identity and be who you are. Like I'm going to work a 9 to 5 all the time and that's who I am. You're allowed to wear many different hats and be successful in all those different areas that you're interested in. So even if they don't correlate or even if they do, I think taking a chance to pursue your passions and find what you really like. And if you find 2, 3, 4 different things that you like, you can totally do it and be successful at it. And I think supporting each other and letting each other know that you can do that is very important. So something like this, like you said, being a mathematician, being a business owner, doing hip hop music and being an organizer, you can totally wear all these different hats and still be successful. It doesn't have to be one way nowadays. So that's really great and really enlightening.
Yeah, you know, it comes to that saying, at some point you got to make the money work for you. So, you know, there's that beginning part, you have to spend money to make money. And then there's that second part. Once you make the money, it's like you got to make that money work for you. You know what I mean? So like that's kind of at that point where I'm at now. So,
yep. And keeping those business relationships open as far as like making sure that you steer yourself in the right direction's a good move too. And I think a lot of people who are business owners kind of find themselves creating relationships and really building off of that and networking, and they didn't really expect it, but now that it's happening, they're grateful for it. So I think this is a really good way to do that. So that's why I like the name Southwest Connect, because it's also not only these people are performing at the event, but they're also getting to know each other.
Exactly. And
it kind of crosses and their fans as well, or their family or friends. And it's a part of this bigger collective.
Exactly.
That we're not so different after all. I mean, music's like, it's almost like the universal language too. It's like, it brings us all together, and you don't have to be a certain demographic to appreciate country, hip hop. I mean, there's not really boundaries anymore.
Yeah.
So for Gatherings of Nations, is there a stage that people perform at the actual event? Yeah,
so it's called Stage 49, and usually they ask for submissions like in January or December. I don't know. I usually submit, but usually get denied every year, so I don't really know how far that goes. But I'll probably try again next year. You know what I mean? But it's a really sought after position. I believe they get all kinds of submissions all over Turtle Island. You know, I've seen the performers that performed, and you look at their biography, and they're, you know, some of them are from Florida, some of them are from like Canada, and I mean that's pretty cool, you know, like, so I think that'd be like my next milestone of legitimacy is if I could get to Stage 49.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I think with something like that too, because it's such a small window to showcase talent. But like that's how it is with like I think some of the vending spots too. Bro, they have their like vending spots for years.
This game is competitive, man. Like it's a competitive game. Like I don't know. Everybody kind of thinks it's just music, you know. But in every community that you're ever in, any discourse community, there's always, you know, the ones that are better. There's always the ones that have been doing it longer. There's always, like I said, there's more respect in places than others. And so, like, it's really hard to navigate, you know what I mean? Like, just being an entreprenative being an entreprenative in this game is kind of hard to navigate because there's a lot of stuff like that you have to kind of go through. And yeah, it's very competitive.
Yeah, and it's like, even so, for example, even with just like the vending spaces of the Gatherings of Nations, they've got people who are lined up for years, and if somebody drops out, they call them, you know.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of, the applications go, and it's like that too at the expo for, like, let's say the flea market here in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
Even with that, like, if an opportunity comes up, you got to sign like a 4-year contract. You got to be there rain or shine. You got to be there every single Saturday. You got to be there every single holiday. You don't get time away. You have to be there like throughout the whole, like, 8 to 8 basically. Yeah. And it's like, sometimes you really got to look at your choices and be like, do I really want this, or can I make my own way doing something? Yeah,
that's another thing that I've been hearing about my natives. You know, like every year somebody, you know how natives are. Like, there's always a comment because we observe so much. That's just what it is. We kind of we look at everything, and then when there's a faulty, we're always like, who's in charge of that? You know what I mean? So, like, of course, we already go all the way up the line, and people always have something to say, and, like, especially like how much they charge the vendors. Like, I mean, I'm not a vendor, so it doesn't really apply to me, but I heard it's a lot of money, and I'm like, damn, that's kind of. I mean, like, it's cool and all because, like, they get exposure, but how much profit you make at the end of the day of that?
Yeah.
Like, even with the food sales too, like, it's a lot.
It's like kind of choosing and picking your battles and where you want to be, where you want to set up in that.
Like I honestly, I go, I go. Well, not there, but, like, even places like the State Fair too. Everywhere, bro. I think it's just inflation. I don't know what it is, but you go to the State Fair and you drop, like, you know, 300, 400 like that. That's when you know you're like, man, what's going on?
No kidding. That inflation, and I think that's probably why a lot of people are surprised about this event, is that it's being free. It's because it's like, for me, you know, I'd be like, okay, well, as a business person, like, where, how can I make this,
and,
you know?
And honestly, let me tell you something real quick too. So, like, people just think the money is just there, right? People probably looking at me right now on social media, and they're probably like, man, this guy has it already made. This guy has all of this money. He's rich, you know. But the thing about they don't understand is that's just the tip of the iceberg. They're not there with me in the freezer late night at 2 a.m, you know, doing these hour-long trips, picking boxes. You know what I mean? That's how I earn my money. I earn my money off the sweat of my brow, and I save it. And now, like, I'm literally giving it away at this moment. You know, like, I'm giving it away. So just to give artists an opportunity, just to give myself an opportunity, you know, like, it's big risk. It's big risk, honestly, because I don't know how it's going to go. It's the first one. But that's just how much faith you got to have in yourself and your business, and also your business partners.
I agree, because it is coming out of your own time and energy. Mm-hmm. So I think, like, even if you did do, like, something where you did charge a fee in future, like, it doesn't have to be the annual one, or, like, if you had different subsequent shows, maybe some of them, if you charge a fee, I mean, you're working hard to get it started. So, I mean, as far as, like, a business stance, it just makes sense.
And that's just like the character in me too. Cause, like, where I come from, like, we have this village sort of understanding, you know, from the Rez, like, it's not really just for you, you know, it's like, how do you say, it's one for all, you know what I mean? If I make it, then we all make it. So that's how I kind of approach the game too. So at least this first time around, I'll make it free, you know what I mean? We'll see how good it is, you know, how well we affect everybody's career, and we'll see about it. You know, I might charge later, but this might be something I'll be like, you know, it might be my biggest flex of the year. It's like giving turkeys back to your neighborhood during holidays, you know, giving out hams to everybody on the block. That's kind of like equivalent to what I'm doing right here. You know, I'm giving back to the culture and to the artists.
Yeah, and just like, even if, okay, so, like, theoretically, if you did charge like vendors in the future, and it turns out to be a big old success because right now it's free, and then, like, let's say there was a, like, maybe even, it doesn't have to be, but maybe even if there's a small cover, all that money can be invested to do future events.
Exactly.
So it kind of really brings people who really love it and want to be around and want to see it thrive. It'll come back around. So even using that, like, I wouldn't be against something like that, because I'd totally be willing, if I was an artist, to pay a fee, or if I was, like, paying, like, a small cover at the door, like, just to see it there and take up space. would be part of the whole collective too. Like
Yeah.
as a community, you want to see it succeed.
Right. And that's kind of how I approached the Rez Ball Showcase too, because like after everything was said and done, I guarantee you I walked away with nothing.
Dang.
Like I literally, I put in, you know, my own money to do all of that, and I literally made it back. So
Wow.
I guess it's kind of good in its own way, because if you think about it, like the recognition kind of weighs out more than your profits at the moment, because like, man, we're up. Like people know who I am back at home. You know, people like my name, they don't know me as, you know, like my government name no more. You know, it's either Luke Queso or it's either L.O.G, and I think that's cool. You know, that's their sign of respect. And yeah, it's just something. It's just like that first year, you know what I mean? That first year for everything, like you kind of gotta take a risk.
Yeah.
That's what I'm starting to realize. It's kind of like in business, they say you shouldn't even really be making money until your second year of anything.
Yeah.
Like your second year in general, you should start be making money, which is now, you know, I'm making money off of doing this. But like the Rez Ball Showcase was the first year, so the second year we're gonna make money. You know what I mean? And then this one, hopefully, the first year we'll walk away with some, but hopefully the second year we'll walk away with more.
Yeah, no kidding. And even like little things, like little tiny. So here's where my mind goes to too, is like, this is a really cool poster, but if it was like, let's say on maybe a t-shirt that was like sold at the venue, that's like a little piece that can be commemorated. And then maybe people ask you to sign it, or maybe you can have like a first annual, and then next year you can release another one. Yeah, that's kind of where my mind goes, because it's like,
you're not the first one to say that. Like the homie that made the flyer, Sacred Lineage, he was like, "Bro, you guys haven't thought about this yet." So, homie Sacred Lineage has been on his marketing schemes for a minute, and I was like, "Man, that's actually a pretty good idea." So we might tap into that. And then he was talking about having posters, so we might have some posters for the audience, you know, to buy when they're there.
I think so, or even something like this, like where you can just sign it for them and give it to them, or take pictures with it, so that way they're getting the marketing out there. Right. Because people are going to be on Instagram and Facebook and tagging and taking photos and stuff. Yeah. So anything with like this, that's kind of with the market, because I'd make my own posters for my business and everything. And so with like, because I was telling you right before the show, like as far as like advertising, communications, marketing, journalism, all that stuff comes natural and easy to me. Yeah. And that's just kind of what I see right off the bat. So knowing that I put a lot of work into my bigger posters, something like this, I know costs time, and knowing that time and cost time and money and energy, you can totally get that back by like, you know, putting out something like that to where somebody wants a piece of that. Because if I could pay for that and have that as my commemorative, you know, piece that it went to that, then it's something I can hang on to. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Yeah, I didn't really think about that, but I got to think about that now.
Yeah, that's good though. At least you have people around you who are giving you that type of heads up though.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like I was saying, all of the networking that I've been doing is just like, I've been like grandma, you know, grandma's always said like, try to learn something for everybody. Like you might be around good people, bad people, you know, around the good, bad, the ugly, but like you have to learn something from everybody, even if they're not the most decent person. So like, you know, anybody and everybody that I've come across from since I was a kid up to this point in my life, like I've always learned something. And it's kind of funny because I look back to each and everybody. I have some sort of memory, you know, being 28 years old, and I just sometimes I'll remember like when I was 7 years old and I see my uncle do something, you know, and I'm like, damn, you know, okay, I shouldn't do that, you know. And then even throughout the community, I'm like, okay, I want to be like him. I want to be like him. So I took the Rez with me everywhere I go, because like I said, I learned from everybody back at home. And that's just, it's just very special to be in a position to be doing this.
Yeah, no kidding. I think that is really special. And that kind of brings me around to just kind of spinning off of ideas, because I'm really excited about this showcase. Yeah. Is that, like, I think Gallup Flea Market, because I'm always there on Saturdays, they have like a little amphitheater, and they do like summer concerts.
I've seen that, yeah.
So I think during the summer concerts, they have guests and artists come on to the show, and it gets pretty busy out there. Yeah. That might be a good exposure.
That would be pretty cool too, yeah. The hardest thing about it is I work all weekend, and I've been doing that for like 3 years. I just finished my 3-year mark doing what I'm doing. And that's the hardest thing. So like even for this, you know, I gotta take time off. Take time off from you know, all weekend, because I'm playing in a basketball tournament too. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a thing, though. Yeah, I totally get that. Because, with me working every Saturday, it's like I got to pick and choose when I'm going to be off a Saturday.
Yeah.
I have to make sure that whatever I'm taking off for is an investment.
Yeah. Also, a big thing about the show is, like I said, we're very big on supporting native entrepreneurs. And what I didn't know at the time, but I do know now, is that Frankie Windhawk is the security at the jam spot for that evening. I'm pretty sure he's probably contracted there a lot for all his shows, but he's a native owned entity security place.
What's his name?
His name is Frankie Frankie Windhawk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he went and commented on Richie Ledrigo's post, and he was just like, "Hey, he's all, it's crazy. He's all, not only do you guys got two dope, hosts hosting the show, but you guys are also in the presence of Frankie Windhawk. He said he's a native owned security business."
That's pretty cool.
I was like, that's pretty cool. He said he said that he does artist security too, so I'm pretty sure he'll be following us around doing things like that,
Is he a single one-man show?
I don't know. He might have a team.
Team.
That's one thing that I'll probably have to tap into once I get over there. I'll probably have to talk to him and chop it up a little bit because, who knows, we could use the services elsewhere too eventually, like when we do other shows and bigger things, because Richie Ledrigo also has other plans too. Like he does the West Coast function, and that one's like a big thing in itself in California. So he was thinking about doing one here in New Mexico already, calling it the Southwest function, which is like a summer sort of thing. Okay. So who knows? It might go off and do some other thing too, because we're pretty good business partners right now.
Yeah, because I totally think that like a native festival of artists would be kind of a cool thing to have, and I think it's like way past due.
Yeah, it's true what they say. It's not what you know, it's who you know. It's a lot of networking that goes into it, and then on top of that, you always got to bring something to the table. Like you always got to have some knowledge that you gained. You always got to have some sort of experience that you gained, and however much you have of that, that's how valuable you are into the scene. And I did my time. With all of these shows, with motivational speaking, just doing what I do, just building my character. I spent my time doing that, and that's what's valuable. I know how to kind of like communicate to people about the importance of certain things and the certain appreciations that we got to give to the people that are pushing the culture of our people.
Yep. That's you have a point there. I totally agree with that. For this event, there's no tickets, right? So it's like a free event?
No, we're going to be selling tickets. Yeah.
Oh, you're going to be selling tickets.
So
okay.
We're allowing the artists to perform for free. So with that, we are not asking them to sell no tickets. We're just giving them the slot. But we are going to be selling tickets at the door. That's kind of like how me and Richie are going to make back what we put in for the venue. And so, like, I don't want to see it as admission. I just want to see it as everybody, donating a little piece of what they got to, to make back what we put in. So it's going to be, I don't know if I can advertise the price on here. Am I able to?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, for sure. So it's going to be $20. $20 to get in. Yeah. So like other places are $30 at the door at the moment. So like we we're even giving a steal right there too. You know what I mean? We're showing some love back to the people that love music. Who knows? You guys might want to go somewhere else afterwards. We want you to have a little bit of pocket change when you leave. Or maybe you want to spend that other 30. On merchandise over there. You know what I'm saying?
So okay, cool. So I have a couple of technical questions. So it's going to be $20 to get in. So that's awesome. You're right. Usually during that time, it's pretty expensive to get in anywhere, even like with Pride or Halloween. Yeah. Like the clubs jack up the price just for special events. Yeah. So being that this is a really great native community event, I think it's awesome to do that. And you get from 5:30 to 12 that much time of entertainment and showcases.
And max occupancy is 300 too.
So max occupancy, okay, that's what I was going to ask, is 300. And then would there be any re-entry, or is it no re-entry?
No re-entry, I'm sorry.
Okay, so no re-entry. And with that, what else was I going to ask? So I think that's all the questions I had as far as the venue. Oh, you can see the Jam Spot. They have a Facebook and a website, but it looks like the Southwest Connect. So your event is already up online. So it's starting to draw attention to it. So if y'all want to go to Lou Queso's Facebook or the Jam Spot on Facebook or Instagram and just share a poster, or you never know, who would see it and would be interested. So that's really a good thing, and it's for a good cause too.
Yeah, exactly. If you have any cousin that be rapping, everybody thinks he's crazy, send them my way, man. Because I was once that cousin.
Yeah, nice. So with this here, so this is what you've been working on and investing all your time in.
Yeah.
People can still send you submissions. And is there anything else about the show you want to share?
Not too much. No, it's just I feel like I got everything all out there. We got the location, the venue, 415 Central Avenue, Albuquerque, New Mexico. That's downtown Albuquerque. It's right in the mix. You can't miss it. The hardest thing will probably be maybe parking for that evening, but there should be additional parking. So plan ahead where you're going to park at, or try to, if you want to get there early and things like that. You might not see me at the beginning just because I'm going to have a basketball game that day. Like, I'm also playing in the Gatherings Nations basketball tournament. That one's also, we do that every year because, like I said, my company, we do a lot of pushing of health and wellness and Rez ball. So part of that is that every year, I make sure my cousins and, some of my homies from back home, we all hop on a team and we, see how far we can go in the tournament. That's kind of like our every year ceremony. That's just kind of what we do. So you might not see me in the beginning for a little bit, but I will be there. I will be there. And like I said, we'll have all the amenities to add to your experience of hanging out at the Southwest Connect. We might have some merchandise. Thank you to Kevin and Sacred Lineage. They both mentioned the same thing. So I might take that in as a sign and just go about that. But we will have whatever you want. It's an all-age venue. You can hang out as long as you want. As long as your parents let you. Bring your parents. If you want to show your parents who we are, bring them out, because I know some of you youngins probably been listening to us for a minute.
Yeah. And what about like meet and greets, or will you just be around just to say hi to people?
Yeah,
or how would that?
I'll just be in the mix, like I wanted to do a meet and greet, but then I feel like it wouldn't be fair asking the artists to do it for free. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're already doing so much for free. So let me think about that right now. Let me ask around if we want to do a meet and greet, how meet and greets work normally, and we'll see if that's possible, because there's been some people that were asking about it as well.
Cool. Awesome. Well, then I'm sure you can find their music, right, on any streaming platform.
So all of these artists, I put on their artist names, so you should be able to, look them up just by their name off of the flyer. And if not, you really want to absolutely do your research, then go to my Facebook and just look at all the people that I tagged on the flyer. A majority of those people are, they're on here. So they have all of their links on their social medias, on their, Instagram, Facebook. And the majority of these artists there, they have all of their stuff out on all platforms. So it's not just SoundCloud music. It's legitimate native artists.
Right on. And so we got this event into the podcast, but the one thing I also wanted to touch on is that you released a new album since the last time we were here.
Yeah.
So
I released Reservation Greatness, and that one's kind of like that one's like a testament of me going through that time when I was in calculus 2. And just working 7 days out the week. And now I'm acclimated, 7 days out the week is kind of chill to me now. It's like, it's just something I do. But back when I was getting acclimated, that's when I was really in my thought process, really trying to figure out, like, what is the formula to reaching greatness? What does it mean coming from the reservation and achieving greatness? And that's where you see the famous, formulas on the board.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're going to be performing some songs off of that latest album?
Yeah, so I'm going to be performing the first 4 tracks from Reservation Greatness. So I'm going to be performing Rez Baby, which is a pretty dope banger. That one's a banger, man. Like, the bass thumps, like the words hit, and like you already know what it is off the first line, Yate, okay, let's get to this money.
Nice. So is it going to be just the recent album, or do you include additional songs from your previous albums?
No, for this, I'm trying to really promote my EP, so I'll probably just perform these new tracks. And people have already seen me perform these other ones, like on Facebook, with video and all of that. So I kind of want to give the audience something new, and, a new, how'd you say, like a new side of me, and trying to show them that I grew as an artist and as an entertainer.
Okay, sweet. And of course, picture taking and That's allowed, right? In video.
Yeah, it should be. I'll make sure to double check with all my artists to make sure we're all on the same page. Because that's like I said, I made sure to let them know that this is something to give back to the people. So, of course, like I need to touch base with them on that. So,
right on. Sweet.
Yeah, and the Reservation Greatness is out now on all streaming platforms. But the formula that I have on the front is me calculating the area of a sphere, and basically in life, when we look at things in an easy way, 2D, it's a circle, right? But we live in 3 dimensions, so that's a sphere. So whenever you calculate the area of a sphere, I kind of applied that to my life because I was trying to figure out how much of a big sphere do I want to have around me. Depending on how much energy I want to have, depending on what kind of slope I want to go up at. Because on both sides of that calculation for the area of the sphere, I'm calculating slopes, tangent of the slopes. And so the way that I interpret it is that, I'm trying to calculate how big my circle should be in life. So that way I can go to the next level easily or hardly. It really depends. And so those are what the calculations are on the board. I did all the hardest parts right, and the easiest part I did wrong. Divided by 9, that is not what it should be. So it came out to what it is, but that's life. You could have it all plotted out, you could have it all planned, but sometimes there's miscalculations, and sometimes those miscalculations lead you on a slope that you couldn't really fathom. You couldn't really imagine you'd be at the peak that you're at. But that's because, you had the right people in your circle, you had the right networking, and you've had the right mind, the right energy, and now you're seeing sights. And that's the Reservation Greatness. I laid out the formula for all these Rez kids and all my brothers, my sisters, my aunts, my uncles. Listen to that. I wrote out the sauce. That's the ingredients that you need in order to take it to the next level and achieve your own definition of what it's like to be great.
Nice. And so we're just ending up toward the end of the podcast, but thank you so much for being on.
Yeah.
And we'll be sure to check out the Southwest Connect Showcase of Native Artists, April 26th, Friday from 5:30 p.m. to 12 a.m. And if you don't mind, where people can find you at, your social media, and stay up to date.
Yeah, everybody can check me out at Lou Queso on Facebook, LOUQUESO. And then also on Instagram at queso.lou, QUESO.LOU. And it's queso like the cheese.
Queso like the cheese.
Queso like the cheese because I'm all about my queso.
Well, thank you so much for being on here. Did you want to give anybody any last shout outs before we wrapped it up?
Yeah, big shout out to 491 Entertainment, my boys D-Tag and, Isaiah. Obviously, they've been in the picture from the very get-go. Big shout out to the homie Richie Led Regal. He's coming all the way out from California just to make this happen. That's how much faith he has in it. He's also an entrepreneur like me. And big shout out to, Jermonce and Yazi, all of the people that have inspired me along the way to kind of just believe in myself, to be in this position to give back. And a lot of this charisma, a lot of this character that I have, it's something that I've had to build along the way with, experiencing what it's like to be nervous, what it's like to be uncomfortable. And I felt like I've earned this right to kind of do what we're doing right now and to offer these opportunities. So a lot of these people they played a lot. And also, word to my mom, my pops, they've also really played a part from since I was a kid to me trying to figure out what I'm trying to do. And also them just being supportive. That's a cool thing because for the longest time I was nervous about, letting them know hey, I make music. But they've handled it well and they've supported me 200% of the time, and I really respect that and I appreciate that. My girl, she makes merchandise. She's always adding to the bigger picture. So that's what I mean. I'm calculating my sphere. I'm trying to take everybody to the top. I'm trying to make sure that we all help one another and everybody. Like I said, I appreciate y'all. So come out to the Southwest Connect. You guys will not forget it.
Sweet. And I had one more question. So if somebody is scared to get out on stage and they're ready to perform, what would you say to somebody like that?
Opportunities don't come every day. You know, you got to seize it. You got to seize the moment. You got to taste it. You got to feel it. You got to let it course through your body. You got to be one with the discomfort. When you become one with the discomfort, you discover your breathing. And, you know, once you gather your breathing, you gather your thoughts. And once you let that adrenaline just rush through you and you just allow yourself to be one with it, like, it's a beautiful thing. It's scary, but it's beautiful. And that's something that, as an artist, everybody should be able, you know, to do it. Even the person at the lowest level understands what it's like. So, you know, I just tell them, just do your thing. You know what it's like to be you. You know your rhymes. You know what you got to do. So go handle your business. You know?
Sweet. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Y'all, thank you to L.O.G Rez for being on the podcast. You're always welcome back anytime. And thank you for tuning in, everybody. We will talk to you next time.
Thanks. I appreciate you. Go on there.
Excuse Podcast is an all-original program. Any similarities in story outside of the podcast is purely coincidental. No portion of the content has been intentionally reproduced, and all views and opinions are that of the content creator and owner.